Hey guys, welcome back. We are in, day 14 of our Walking with Jesus daily study. So far it has been quite eye-opening. I'm the one that's, kind of running the study, and I have never seen things as clearly as I have with this, and I'm thankful that I have people to do it with and people to share it with. If there is anybody listening, I pray for you daily, often throughout the day. So hang in there if you've made it this far. If you haven't made it this far and you're trying to catch up, there is no catching up with Jesus. If you're seeking Him, you're not behind. It's not a race and it's not a competition. It's you seeking a relationship with Him, and leave it at that and let that be the beautiful thing that it actually is. Pardon me. Let's get started because we got some really cool verses to study today. We are going to be in Mark chapter 3 and in Luke chapter 6. Now I'm going to read the Luke version first and then the Mark version, and we'll just kind of go with it. So in Luke chapter 6, starting in verse 12, it says, "In these days, he, Jesus, went out to the mountain to pray, and all night he continued in prayer to God. And when day came, he called his disciples and chose from them 12, whom he named apostles: Simon, whom he named Peter, and Andrew his brother, then James and John and Philip and Bartholomew, and Matthew and Thomas and James the son of Alphaeus, and Simon, who was called the Zealot, and Judas the son of James, and Judas Iscariot, who became a traitor." So these were the 12 chosen. Now, if we go over here and look at Mark's account, in this same day, I'm just going to read a little portion before this, and then we'll get into the meat and taters. It says in Mark chapter 3, verse 7, it says, "Jesus withdrew with his disciples to the sea, and a great crowd followed from Galilee and Judea, and Jerusalem and Idumea, and from beyond the Jordan, and from around Tyre and Sidon. When the great crowd heard all that he was doing, they came to him. And he told his disciples to have a boat ready for him because of the crowd, lest they crush him. For he had healed many, so that all who had diseases pressed around him to touch him. And whenever the unclean spirits saw him, they fell down before him and cried out, 'You are the Son of God.' And he strictly ordered them not to make him known." Okay, this is what's taking place, and this is why Jesus goes up on the mountain to get alone. If we just study this small portion here before we get into today, it says he withdrew to the sea, away from the cities, and to a place of where he could try to be alone. But this crowd follows. If you know that someone can take away your illness or disease, you're going to go to them. And they didn't have medicine back then like we do now. I can't imagine the issues people were having and the things that they were struggling with. And it talks about all the places people were traveling great distances in the hopes of seeing Jesus, in the hopes of him being merciful enough to heal them. So this has become a very big deal. It talks about the places that he's from. We'll go through that later. That's not important right now. This great crowd heard all that he was doing. So he told his disciples to have a boat ready. Okay, have a boat ready for him because he's afraid he's going to be crushed. Not only is a great crowd of people following him around, wanting to be healed and wanting to hear what he has to say, but these people are all full of diseases and they're touching up on him. Imagine what that would be like, just for a second. So they're pressing in on him, and to the point where he feels like he's going to be crushed or trampled. This is a powerful statement, though. When the unclean spirits saw him from within the bodies that they had possessed, okay, they fell down before him and cried out, "You are the Son of God." And he ordered them not to make him known. Now, this is a big deal for many reasons, but one is, do we have that reverence? Do we have the same reverence that demons do for the Son of God? Do we have the reverence of a demon when we stand before and bow before a holy God and Jesus our Lord? Okay? Then it says in verse 13, and he went up on the mountain and called to him those whom he desired. So we get Luke's account that tells us that he was praying all night. He retreated up there and prayed all night. And then he comes down and he called to him those whom he desired. And he appointed 12. Now he had a lot of people following him. There were a lot more disciples with him than 12. But he appoints 12 to be apostles. And he appointed 12 whom he also named apostles. Okay? So that they might be with him and he might send them out to preach. It was much more than just choosing 12 guys that were your favorite. This is not a kickball team. Okay, this is a very different than that. He's choosing 12 that he's going to send out. An apostle is one that is sent out by Jesus. That's how that works. So it says, so that they might be with him and he might send them out to preach and have authority to cast out demons. Apparently, a lot of people were, are, have been, will be, I don't know, possessed by demons. That's a lot to take in, and we will cover more of this because there's a lot covered on demons. There's a lot talked about on people being possessed by demons, okay? But he's going to equip them. He's going to empower them so that they can go out, preach the word, prove who they're with by doing the miraculous signs that Jesus did. He appointed 12, and here's how he names them in Mark. Simon, to whom he gave the name Peter, James, the son of Zebedee, and John, the brother of James, to whom he gave the name of Boanerges, that is, sons of thunder, Andrew and Philip and Bartholomew and Matthew and Thomas and James, the son of Alphaeus, and Thaddaeus, and Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot, who betrayed him. All right, so this gives us a pretty clear-cut picture on what's happening here. Now, let's go a little bit deeper into this before we run out of time, because I'm trying to give you your 10 minutes, okay? Jesus went away from people. He went away from the people he loved. He went away from the people that needed him. He went away from the people that were crowding around him and told him, you're my only hope. I traveled all this way just to be near you, just to be with you. Okay? He went away from all these people because the time with his Father was far more important. It says that Jesus prayed to God. It was very clear in Luke's account. All night, he spent in continued prayer to God. Why? Who knows? We don't have the script, but this is what we do know. Before he made the huge decision of choosing the 12, which he probably already knew who the 12 were going to be, before he chose those 12, these are all people that have been following him. There's much more than 12 people here. And before he chose the 12, he spent the entire night in prayer. Have you ever spent like 10 minutes in prayer? Imagine spending the entire night not sleeping and waking up in prayer. Like fervent prayer with God. Isn't he God with us? Isn't he Emmanuel? Isn't he the Word become flesh? Of course he is. He still has the DNA of Mary with the DNA or the, I don't know what it would be called, of the Holy Spirit. So with that being said, he was still tested and tried in every way. You know, we don't have a count of all the testing and trials. We just have those 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness. But it was probably a constant, nonstop, never-ending thing. Jesus needed time with God. If Jesus did for a whole night, you do for a whole year. I do for more than a year. We need to spend time in prayer with our God. He is good, he will hear you, and he will love you. Now, the name of the people that he called are important. These names are important. But let's look at this. Out of this list, I want you to think about it. How many of them have you heard of? How many of them have a book or a letter in the Bible that they wrote? How many books or letters were written by somebody not listed in this 12 for the New Testament? It's a lot, guys. It's a whole lot. Jesus took the time to call them by name. to call them according to the purpose that he had for them. They were already following him. They were already with him. But I want you to think about this from a standpoint of maybe you were in that crowd and you were one that was called, or maybe you weren't, and you're still going to follow Jesus even though you're not one of the 12, even though you weren't chosen to do a special work for Jesus. He may have another work for you. Zebedee wasn't called from the boat when James and John were. Maybe he has another work for him. Maybe the work that was meant for these men was something you weren't going to be able to handle. It doesn't really matter what it is. If you see somebody doing the work of God, encourage them. Go along with them, even if you're not the one chosen. Jesus chose these people, and this is important. But the main point to get away from all this is, if you have a decision to make, go pray first. And you don't pray that God helps you with your decision you're making. You pray that God guides you to the right decision to make. You don't say, I'm going to buy this house. God, please be with me and make this happen. You say, God, where do you want me? Let me know. Make it clear. If you're looking to date somebody, you don't date somebody and say, God, I hope you make this work. You say, God, put the person in my life that I'm supposed to be with. And so, okay, if I'm supposed to be a parent, I would love to be a parent. God, if you have that for me, then make me a parent. I don't care if it's a boy or girl or if it's an adoption. Just make it clear for me. But pray. Pray more than you've ever prayed before. Pray all the time. If you blink, pray. If you think about God, pray. What does it mean to pray? Just talk to him. We will learn how to do it, but you're not going to know how to do it if you haven't started doing it on your own. All right, got to stop here. Flip to side B. See you guys.